This video is brought to you by Artistworks. Artistworks are part of True5 Studios, and they offer direct access to master musicians through their innovative online learning platform. Partnering with iconic musicians, they've crafted decades of industry experience into guided paths of online lessons. Crucially, there's an option to get personal feedback tailored specific to your playing via their unique video exchange. Get direct guidance towards your playing goals. You can use the code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of Artistworks courses.
So I actually plugged in an amp for the first time in maybe a couple of weeks today, and it's just a happy coincidence that also that pedal show just uploaded this video with Noel Gallagher, and in that video, particularly at the end of it, you can see basically all three of them just kind of like kids in a sweet shop playing a cranked amp, and like the look on their faces. This thing here, I've got not particularly, the master is set at 3.5, the gain about 2, treble and bass. So in the room here, it's probably like shouting volume, maybe a little bit below gig volume, but certainly loud because Lenny was out with Elodie, and I just thought, well, let's annoy the neighbours for a bit. But it just really reminded me of this thing. I know even myself in particular, I'm using modelers pretty much every day. And I did say in a video the other day that amps don't really have a place in my workflow. For whatever reason, I think basically I can record with the modeler at any volume and it's consistent. I don't have to worry about mic placement, which sometimes, particularly if you're using higher gain, can be a bit of a thing where you record with an amp at volume and you never really know what you're going to get out the other end, particularly if you're just trying to just like quickly improvise something like I'm always doing. The other thing for me is that the click track sort of bleeds through a little bit, so what I have to do is play something with the click track and then kind of just program the drums so that I can drop the click track out as quickly as possible, so that I don't have to worry about that click bleeding through and stuff like that. I don't mind so much if there's the sound of like the drums bleeding through, but I don't want that click track which kind of sticks out quite a lot. But it made me think, there are a bunch of guitarists out there now. I think Tim Henson was one that had talked about this sort of thing, Pliny, and the folks that are kind of younger than me, but there's certainly people out there that may have never tried a guitar amp at all really, or sort of gigged one or played them at volume. I think this is going to become more the norm the more that modelling is a thing. But there is certainly something about being in the room with an amp, and I'm sure you've all heard this before and you know that to be the case, and it's something that of course you can get by without, I think, but for me it's one of those things. It's kind of nice to tap back into maybe the roots of kind of rock guitar and that sort of stuff, if that makes any sense. So anyway, what was this rig? It's this, which is a Rift, essentially a copy of a Matchless Lightning, but with 6v6 tubes in it. Matchless Lightning is supposedly loosely based on the top boost channel of a Vox. And then this cab was very kindly made for me by the folks at Zilla. I'm thinking I might want to try and gig this thing. This is what I'm trying to get my head around. Now, the limitation for me gigging wise is that it needs to be relatively small, because I have to take it in my Skoda with all of my other gear for the gig. And then the other thing that I'm trying to battle is kind of this convenience factor that I've got used to with modelling. So all I was using for that video there was this straight for the clean, and then I was using the Angry Driver, which actually I really love this pedal, to be honest. I'm using that in the stacked mode. That can do kind of amazing rhythm tones, amazing lead tones, although whether you like them or not. Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you enjoyed any part of that playing. I think it's probably one of the longer intros that I've done, just because I was feeling that kind of playing with an amp thing. And certainly that feedback with the ES335 is something that is really new to me, actually, because typically I'm not playing at volumes where you get that sort of thing to happen, but I think it's quite a cool thing, and it's one of the things that Noel Gallagher again was talking about on that pedal show, about how that becomes something you learn to control, where the amp and the guitar is somewhat becoming alive. So I'm wondering about maybe gigging this. I'd take the Angry Driver for the drive stuff, maybe a delay pedal. I'll try and choose one of them later, and then I guess I'd either run something between the amp and cab, like the Fractal X load to load it down, or I'd go really old school and take a microphone. Let me know if you're still gigging a mic'd up amp and cab. I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. The other alternative, of course, would be with the X load to stick like my normal Helix preset in the loop and all that sort of stuff. The other thing that I was noticing was that I didn't really feel the need, particularly whilst I was recording. I put this on in post, I put some delay in a plugin, but to use delay or reverb, and you get kind of a bit more of an immediate raw kind of thing going on. And I think maybe that's a thing that I should try and remember and get back into. I think having one decent tube amp would be a noble thing for players that I don't think, for me, I'm never going to use these every single day, but I think it does really help to kind of tap back into the source sometimes. So let me know your thoughts on that. If you've got any, do you still keep a tube amp around? Are you a person who's totally against modelling? I imagine that if you're on my channel, that probably there's going to be a bit of a bias towards folks that are into the modelling side of things. Yeah, I don't know if I could quit tube amps altogether. Even though I'm not using them as part of my workflow, I'm very rarely, if ever, gigging them. I do think there's still something really cool about them. Maybe once you get to gig volume, it doesn't matter so much. Like, I can get feedback at gig volume, when I want it, if I've got quite a lot of gain. So it's maybe not even the feedback thing, but maybe it's just that idea. Maybe it's all in my head. I don't know. But that's kind of something that I'm thinking about trying to do a bit of this year, you know, gigging with a real amp and trying to see what I've been missing. Maybe it has to be with the heavy one.
Okay.
By the way, if you may have missed the TrueFire ads that have been going on, the discount codes still work for TrueFire if you're using them, so you can get the all access pass for $100 off with JNC 100. But also, this Artist Works thing, you can get basically one-on-one type video lessons, or video exchanges is what they call it, with Martin Taylor, Paul Gilbert, Jared James Nichols. So really cool. Artist Works, you can get discount code JNC40 for money off that as well if you want to. Cheers for stopping by. See you again.